Well, good morning, everybody. I'm your host, LY. I'm here with my good friend Quentin, and we're just having a conversation, so we thought we would just bring it right onto the podcast. You've tuned into God's CONVO, and we're glad that you tuned in. Excited about today, excited about what God's doing, not only in our lives, but yours as well. And today I'm on cue just to kind of share a little bit more today. His story, what's on your heart, and just feel free just to share whatever it is you want to share, brother.
We were just talking about music, and I was just thinking about how good music is for the soul and for the spirit, depending on what the message is.
Yeah, ain't that the truth?
You want to get the right message that's coming into your spirit and your soul and stuff. So music is something that I love. I love old school music, secular, because it gives a different feel.
Right.
It gives a different meaning. I think it was more sincere than what we hear today.
Wow, yeah.
Because sometimes you get music in your spirit. If it's the wrong thing, it'll get into your heart.
Yeah.
And sometimes you speak that stuff.
Right.
So when I listen to old school stuff, I'm speaking out some good things.
Yeah. I like what you said about Lenny Williams. Yeah, he said, you hear that, you'll fall in love.
You'll fall in love.
Get married.
And stuff,
I know that's right.
Yeah. When I hear stuff nowadays, I think it's too much violence, and it promotes that. It promotes to downgrade women, and that's wrong, because God made them to be a helpmate to us.
Right.
So we're supposed to lift up our women. And I felt that old school's R&B secular songs, including, soft rock like the Christopher Cross and the Michael McDonald's and Michael Bolton and all those guys right there, they sung songs that lift up women. Yeah. And taught you how to respect them and things like that. Nowadays, it puts them down. And that's why I don't listen to that type of music nowadays. I listen to old school.
And what do you think about this thought? Is I think even almost unconsciously, if we listen to certain music, it gets, like you said, it kind of gets in our psyche, gets in our soul. Yeah. And now unconsciously, just because it's a good beat, and let me tell you, that the power of a beat is really powerful, because it'll snatch you, it'll grab you. And you'll unconsciously, you're not even listening really to the words, but they are getting programmed into your consciousness. Yeah. And you got kids 4, 5, 6 years old listening to this. Yeah. And now you got boys that are twerking, which is crazy.
Yeah, which is crazy. Yeah.
You got kids that are cussing, which shouldn't be. Right. There's no reason any kid, or adult at that. Right. I mean, if I cuss, I remember the first time I cussed. This was back when I was married. This was probably back in 2012 or 13. And I had probably went 13 years without cussing. Not even the S word, which really today wouldn't even be considered a cuss word. Yeah. But for my kids, when they heard me say that word in a heated argument with my ex-wife. Right. Now, I don't want to throw her under the bus or anything like that, but for her language was a little different. I'll just leave it at that. Right. And so when they heard me cuss for the first time, Q, they said, "Oh, Dad cussed." Yeah. And they must have thought hell was going to split open and we were going to fall into it or something. You know what I mean? Because they couldn't understand how somebody who they never heard cuss actually cuss. Yeah. But today, it just seems like it don't matter what age group it is. Yeah. It used to be very foreign. A kid would dare even say cuss words in front of an adult or even at school. But, these days, it's like it's more natural. And even on social media, I still call me old school, call me different, but I cannot gather my mind around parents that allow their kids to get on social media at 4, 5, 6 years old and cuss. Yeah. I just don't get it. I don't understand it. You, like I said, call me old school. I could be wrong. But as far as in my conscience, there's no way I could see or would want my kid getting up and talking the way some of these kids, and no matter how many views you get, no matter how many likes you get, life isn't about how many views and how many likes.
Yeah.
Life's about character and learning how to live in a manner that is obviously worthy of the calling that we've received as believers, worthy of the respect that people deserve as well as we deserve. And there's just nothing, to me, I don't know, there's just nothing appealing about foul language.
Yeah, yeah.
You know.
And you hear a lot of it now. See, music has influence.
Yeah.
Okay, and the reason why sometimes that it make you feel a certain way, because music has a hypnotic feel to it.
A hypnotic feel, yes.
Okay, when you think about King Nebuchadnezzar, he said, when you hear the music, when you hear the psaltery, the harp, all these different type of instruments, he said, bow down and worship the image.
Yeah.
Because it gives a hypnotic feel to it. So you got to be careful with the style of music that you listen to, because it will influence you. It will get into your spirit. And the next thing you know, you speaking that stuff.
Right, right.
You know, it make you feel, if it's causing you to stumble, causing you to fall into sin and stuff like that, don't listen to it.
Don't listen to it.
Take it out your life.
Well, I think God said in his word, he said, guard your heart.
That's right.
With all diligence.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's
guard
right.
it. In other words, diligence means you're actively keeping that heart guarded, keeping your spirit protected.
Yeah.
You know, your eye gate. You say, how does it get in? Your eye gate, what you look on, and your ear gate.
Yeah.
That's how things get into us.
That's how you receive your information.
Yes. And so if we're not protecting that, you know, for instance, if you are a machinist, okay, and there's loud sounds that are happening within there, what do they suggest that you do? You put earplugs in. Why? Because you're protecting the physical eardrum that you have from being damaged. Okay? And so if you do that in the natural, and that's a way that things get into your heart, we should have spiritual earplugs, so to speak.
Right.
Where we guard and protect the inner part of us from the sounds that can destroy us.
Yeah.
And the words. You know, words are very powerful. Solomon said, death and life are in the power of our tongue, and those that love it eat the fruit thereof. And so, as Quentin is saying, just because there's a hypnotic beat, and it's a good beat, even if you're not meaning to, and you're just saying, well, I like the beat, you got to be careful, because this is how things get in. And in your conscience, you have what's called a conscience and a subconscious.
Yeah.
Okay, there are things that just subconscious, just things that we do that we're not even aware of why we do them. That's because these things have gotten planted in us, and just naturally, in a sense, whether it's right or wrong, we just do those things. The good thing and the good news is if you're in that state of mind, you can change it. And Paul said it like this, not to be conformed to the pattern of the world, but rather be transformed by the entire renewing of the mind. He also said in Ephesians that we can, with the word, can renew our mind, or the washing of the water of the word. In other words, the word will come in and purge those thoughts and cleanse our mind, cleanse our soul, so that we can have new thoughts, and we can start thinking thoughts that are from above and not beneath, you see. And so, as a man thinketh, so is he. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, I know this to be absolutely a fact, that when I was gambling hardcore, meaning every day of my life I was gambling, I didn't notice it till I went to one casino. And it wasn't even until I looked at the magazine that they were handing out about the history of their casino and the origin of gambling on the tribe, on the reservation. And do you know, at that time, obviously they didn't have machines, but they had a circle. And different tribes would come together, and they would be encircled, and people from different tribes would come up, and they would have somebody hitting the drum. Boom, 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 boom. And then they would cast these kind of like dice type things or sticks, and this is how they gambled.
Yeah, like casting lots.
And so I didn't realize it or didn't connect the reason why they have such an up-tempo beat going on in casinos. They can be singing, Marvin Gaye can be singing Let's Get It On, but why do they have a techno beat underlying the song Let's Get It On? Let's get it on, but the beat's going boom, 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 boom. And it's throughout the whole casino because it's hypnotizing people as they're pushing that button. There is a connection, you see? And so when I started seeing this, I was like, wow, this is powerful. This is why they're doing what they're doing, because it's hypnotizing people and getting people to do what they want them to do by pushing that button so that they can take your money. And, that's something I've experienced firsthand. And I'm not a newcomer to gambling. I've gambled 35 years of my life. I've gambled. And I say that to a fault. I don't thank God for it in any form or fashion because it's been a hard thing to overcome in my life. And I thank God I'm in the state of Texas where they don't have gambling. Glory to God. Because over a course of time of not doing a certain behavior, you overcome it. And you can change the desires for certain things with desires for better things. I listened to a podcast yesterday. It said, if you want to have change, you've got to do change. You've got to do something different. If you've got something going on that's been taking your money for all these years, then if you stop doing what's been taking your money, then guess what's going to happen? You're going to have money.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So, for me, this is kind of something I've been appreciative over being here in Texas that they don't have casinos. And so, anyways, you want to add anything to that?
The thing is, you was talking about that drum go beep, boom, 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 boom. I was going to say not to throw anybody under the bus, but when you think about the Word of Faith movement, they play that music constantly. They play the music in the background. Just think about the guy Benny Hinn. When you think about him doing the things that he do in the background, just music. It has a subtle sound to it and everything. You hear people going, Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. It's a hypnotic thing to throw you away and get you away from what he's doing. So it's a hypnotic thing and stuff that they do. You have to be careful with some of the Christian songs that we listen to as well. You have to be careful with that because some of them is not theological. It's not theologically correct. It's not biblical. I heard a song called God's Love is Reckless. No, it isn't. God's love is not reckless. God's love is caring. God's love is uplifting. God's love is encouraging. That's what God's love is. Reckless means, you know what that means? Is out of harmony. Yeah. It brings it's not caring. It's disruptive. So God's love is not that. God's love is caring. So you gotta be careful, even with Christian music and what you listen to.
Yeah, I remember when I first heard, and it to take in what you're saying is when I first heard people saying that, I didn't understand what it's almost like for the generation that was saying this. I said, "What do you mean God's love wrecks?"
Yeah.
Well, in their mindset, what they're meaning by that is it's different than how we may interpret it. Kids, it's like when we used to say, "That's bad." You know what I mean?
Right.
But we weren't saying it's bad. It's bad and good. Bad. We're saying it's good.
Right.
And so some of the stuff out there isn't. I don't think people. But once again, if you're not trained. If you haven't trained your senses, then you could get thrown off and you might think something different. Or, we got to just be selective with our words, because our words do have power. What we listen to is very influential. Who you listen to is very important.
Yeah.
I mean, just because a person, and I don't want to get into bashing or anything like that, because that's. But